Welcome to Fashionably Broke.
I'm kidding, don't use that.
Just wear whatever the hell you
Like,
want.
literally just...
We're living on a McDonald's budget.
Just because you're broke doesn't mean you have to dress like it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Fashionably Broke Podcast, episode 119. This past weekend was Memorial Day weekend. We are currently recording on Memorial Day, so I hope that everyone had a very safe Memorial Day weekend, and of course that you reflect and remember those who have served. We have a very fun and exciting episode for you guys. I feel like last week, we really honed in on the influencing topic, and offered and gave a lot of tips and just kind of reflected back on our experience, getting into influencing. And I feel like this week we have a really great episode, kind of again giving tips and tricks and just offering advice. But this is geared specifically to those that are officially post-grad. A lot of colleges have had their graduations, and so they are joining the adult world, which is a very scary place. But
welcome to it.
But we, I hate to age us here. We unfortunately have been post-grad for quite a long time now. We, of course, don't know everything, but I feel like we've learned a lot. Or have even realized things that we've kind of realized oh, this is important and I wish I would have known it either coming out of school or just years before, kind of at the point that we're at now. So we are going to go over all of that, basically tips and tricks to surviving post-grad. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the royal wedding, and I'm not talking about the King and Queen of England. I'm talking about the King and Queen of TikTok, but basically the TikTok royal wedding, Jazz and Kevin's wedding.
Yeah, I mean, it was all over my page this entire weekend. And don't get me wrong, I see Hallie, I see Jazz's stuff and everything, but I'm not
I don't follow. Yeah, no, I don't follow them.
Follower. I think I follow Hallie, but
I do, but I don't follow Jazz at all.
Yeah.
But everyone has been posting about it. I mean, basically the entire New York influencer scene was there. And so getting to see all of the behind the scenes stuff, I feel like in real time live action was so iconic. And I mean, literally just consumed my entire feed.
Yeah, and I was actually very shocked by how nice and elegant and put together, because I do see, because they have a podcast, it's called Delusion Diaries or something like that. And I see their clips on TikTok all the freaking time, and they were talking about it, and Jazz is weddings just I don't feel like you have to go all out. I'm being so chill about mine. I literally bought a second wedding dress. I need to return the other one. I liked this one better, but now I'm debating on what one I'd like. Just very chill and kind of all over the place. When it comes down to it, I'm oh my God, I'm so type A. I would freak out. So I was actually expecting something way less elegant. I don't even know what the right words to say. Not as put together. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
It was. I think you can definitely tell. And there was another TikToker, and I forget who it was, that basically said that Jazz is the type of person that she is going to put in effort where it needs to be put in and where it's going to be enjoyed the most, not enjoyed, but basically really where the effort needs to be put into. And I feel like it reflected really well in her wedding, because basically the girl on the TikTok was just saying she really thought about her guests first. Obviously it's her day, but everyone had such a good time, and you can tell, because it wasn't extravagant flowers everywhere. It was very elegant but very understated, I feel at the same time. And you can definitely tell where she did pour her focus in, and it really was centered around the people and bringing everyone together and having a great time, and not stressing over the minor details of the drapery or the linens or like the chairs or the flowers. And I feel like, honestly, in today's world, with just sometimes like weddings and just like everything that weddings are and have become, I feel like a lot of times people do stress over like the tiny minute details that only you're gonna notice, no one else is gonna notice. So it was pretty cool to like see and like hear some of her guests actually say like, okay, yeah, she doesn't go all out and like, you know, is a little bit type B in that sense, but like she really poured her like effort and focus into like the stuff that she knew her guests to notice. And again, I don't really like follow her that much, but you can definitely tell it was very like her type of wedding. Like it was very non-traditional, but it was just like exactly the way that she wanted it.
Right, and also, like, you don't really have to pour into, like, florals and, like, other things when you have a venue that looks like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the venue is insane, and I did not know this until I saw a TikTok, but apparently that's where Taylor Swift recorded, like, the Blank Space music video was there. So,
I haven't seen the video, and after I saw that, I was like, I should probably watch it, but I still haven't watched it.
Yeah, so just kind of put that into perspective. Like, Taylor Swift recorded one of her freaking music videos here. Like, the venue was absolutely gorgeous. And it's just like, when you have something like that, you don't need, you know, many decorations or like a lot of add-ons to it. And then I did see the like transformation video of like the reception hall, like before and after. Oh my God, the difference it can make. I mean, you know what it looks like, just a regular ballroom. Like, just think about like a hotel ballroom. Yeah, so ugly, so gross, disgusting. And I mean, they absolutely like transformed it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
100%. And two, I thought another thing that was cool that almost like every single person that attended was saying was, you know, obviously they're all influencers. They obviously call themselves all coworkers, but like, you know, a lot of them were saying like, honestly, we're friends before coworkers. We just happen to like work in the same type of space. But everyone was just saying like how awesome it was, because it's like they get together all the time for like events, for like influencer events where they have deliverables, like they have to take content, like they're working while they're at these events. So they were like, it was so cool to get everyone together under one roof and us not work. And like, they're like, of course we film TikToks, but they're like, because we enjoy making TikToks and we're fast at it. Like, we don't take hours to edit. They're like, we do this every single day. Like, we can pop out a video in 5 seconds. Like, we're not, our noses aren't in our phones, but they're like, it was just so awesome, like getting everyone together under one roof. And like, you could tell, because I enjoyed watching that content, because like it just seemed like they're genuinely like all really close and like good friends, even if they weren't good friends. Like, they all just like got along so well. And just to see a lot of the different creators that like you would never picture together in one room, like hanging out, being in each other's videos, was just iconic.
And them like actually being like friends. Like, I feel like you just see sometimes like the individual on TikTok and not like with all their friends. It's like, of course, they're at this influencer event together, but I wouldn't ever think they hung out, you know, on the side kind of thing. Yeah. And then you see them all together and it's like, oh wow, like they're literally all so close. I just want to say, is it Danielle? No, it's Bridget. Her boyfriend
is the hottest thing ever. Yes. Every time he's in a video, I'm like, can you just keep, like, I respect y'all's relationship, because they've been together for like 10 years. I'm also just waiting for him to pop the question. Like, every time she posts a video with him, every time she posts a video with him, I'm like, okay, is this the video where she's gonna be like, I'm engaged? But he is, respectfully, he is
beautiful,
hot. Yeah.
Beautiful. Like, I mean, golly. And you can just tell he's so in love with her. Every single video, he's like, just like always touching all over her, looking her up and down. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this man is like my dream. He's just like so hot. And like, sometimes it's just like the way his hair falls. I'm just like,
well, funny.
I'm absolutely in love.
Funny you say that, because it was his birthday today. So she's been posting all of like, because like I said, they've been together for almost like 10 years, like since the beginning of their freshman year of college. And so she was posting like all of these throwback pictures with him and like when they first started dating. But no, I'm just like, they're both so in love with each other. And like what cracks me up is because like when I say they're both so in love with each other, like it's just really the vibe and like energy that they put off. Obviously, we're only seeing it through a screen. But what cracks me up is like when her and her sister like first moved out and moved in with their boyfriends, she posted a video of her the I listen and I don't judge video with Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I wanted to move in with Mitch a year ago, but I stayed here with you because I felt bad. So it's like she's just been like itching to like move in with her boyfriend and like kind of like start their lives, you know? So I just find it so funny. But yeah, no, they really are like just the cutest ever. And when they walked down the aisle together, I was just like, okay, I can't wait for their wedding.
Yeah, I mean, they are absolutely perfect for each other. And I feel like it has to be coming soon. I feel like the moving in together was like the next step. And it's like, okay, like it's coming. It has to be coming. So I'm waiting. I can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it has to happen soon. But honestly, I just like what I would do to like be in the room with all of the influencers there that like were there at the wedding and just like hang out with them because they just all seem like such a vibe. I was like legit having FOMO and I'm like, I don't know these people.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looks like a fun wedding. It looks like everyone was, you know, drinking, indulging a little too much. I mean, it just seems so freaking fun. I was like, wait, I wish I was there right now.
No, yeah. And then also, too, because a lot of them, because the venues, I don't know exactly where the venue is, but like a lot of the people were staying in New Jersey, I think.
Yeah, I think it was on Long Island.
Okay, so what shocked me was the amount of creators that are from like New Jersey. And they're like, oh, I'm staying at my childhood home. I'm like, damn, so they really haven't moved far.
No, I feel like everyone's from New Jersey. Literally, I feel like everyone and their mom is from New Jersey, and then they just, like, make the jump to, like, New York City to, like, live out their city dreams. But, like, every single person is either from New Jersey or, you know, they have a summer house in Montauk or Nantucket. And I'm like, okay, so I hate to say it, but, like, y'all come from some money. Like, some absolute money.
It all started with the OGs, Jersey Shore, okay? we have to owe credit to where credit's due. Snooki, Sammy, JWoww, respect. I'm kidding, but no, it is kind of crazy that the amount of people that are from Jersey, because like the twins, Bridget and Danielle, Alex Earl.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny because I was seeing a lot of TikToks of like it's just so different, like in a city that has like public transportation everywhere, like. Everyone was just taking the train, like, to Long Island. And it was just so funny seeing, like, influencers just, like, all on the train, like, sleeping on the way home on the train. I'm like, I forget, like, half y'all don't have cars or, like, anything like that.
Yeah, so true. Could you imagine a life without a car?
Sometimes no.
Kassidy's like, no, I drive in my car. Kassidy drives the most out of any person I think I know.
Yeah. No,
You'd be lost without a car.
Yeah, I guess so. Because I'm like, well, that's where I do like a lot of my thinking, where I listen to my podcast. I'm like, okay, but I could do even more of that, like when I'm not even having to pay attention to the road. Like,
exactly.
But like, imagine the amount of money. Like, you're not having to pay car insurance. You don't have a car payment. Sign me up, actually.
I mean, you're paying for like if you take the subway, which I feel like I would be way too scared to do. You have to have like a Metro card. Okay, if you take the bus,
like, crazy
you have to have a
expensive.
Metro card or like a bus Metro card. Or I feel like this would be me. I would just Uber everywhere or take taxis.
And that would get expensive.
Yep.
I wonder how much Ubers are in New York.
I think it just depends. I've Ubered in New York before, but that was a few years ago, so.
Like, to me, that's just giving, like, expensive, and, like, that could add up to more than, like, a car payment and car insurance if, like, you're the one to Uber, like, everywhere.
Yeah. But I also think it just really depends on where you live, because, like, Ubers here in Nashville are so expensive. Like, even if you're just going down the street, like, you're still paying, you're not paying any less than, like, $14 to $20 if you're just going for, like, a 5-minute ride.
Oh, absolutely.
And then anything longer than 5 minutes, it's up there.
And but then, like, if you're leaving the bar at prime time, it's $7,500.
And then I think back to like Baton Rouge, and I think the most expensive Uber I've ever paid in Louisiana, like even in New Orleans, like was probably like $30.
Really?
Yeah.
No, even like I live close to freaking everything, and I mean even here, literally if I'm at the bar at 1:45, 2 o'clock, and I'm wanting to leave at that time, you probably won't find anything under $70.
Yeah.
And when I tell you I live 7 minutes away, like on the dot, 7 minutes away, it's 7 minutes. Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. But yeah, probably in New York, they're probably expensive. Also, just depending on, again, where you go. But I feel like you can also walk a lot of places, which is nice.
But to say, I feel like you can walk a lot of places, and I can only imagine how skinny I would be.
No,
if like I
literally.
could just walk everywhere.
That's why they're all so skinny there. Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
But yeah, I just thought everything was so cool with Jazz and Kevin's wedding. And I, like I said, I had so much FOMO.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I surprisingly, and this sounds bad saying like surprisingly, I really liked her dress.
Yeah.
You hated it. It's okay. You hated it.
I hated it. I liked her second look a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. And then her like party look, I liked it. I didn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate to say, honestly, I don't know what it is, but I'm like, lately I've been hating like shitting on people's wedding dresses because it's like, it's their day. But I mean, also she's never going to hear this podcast, but I don't know. It wasn't my favorite.
I think it looked good
unique
on her, and it was like something I wasn't expecting her to wear.
Yeah.
I thought she would have gone a lot more toned down, and I mean it was pretty like toned down, I guess you would say. I don't know, there's just something about it where I was like, I wasn't expecting this,
it. Yeah.
And I feel like it was like a little out of her comfort zone and a little more than I was expecting.
Yeah, I don't know, like I can't put my finger on like I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a pretty dress, but like it just didn't nothing for me. But again, it's not my wedding, so it doesn't have to do anything for me. She looks beautiful. She looks beautiful, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
She really did. Yeah, but that wedding was great. I love seeing literally all the freaking content.
Yeah.
That's what my whole FYP was filled with, and I enjoyed it to say the least. And then everyone basically just went to like the Hamptons to go to their childhood home and like go to the beach the next day. So
I wish. But yeah, no, I literally stuffed my face all weekend and like took in all of the wedding content that I could.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
Like I sat on the couch like a fat ass and just shoveled food in my face all weekend, and it was just like
sometimes you just need a good weekend of all of that.
Wow, like look at that. Haha, that was funny. Haha, that is funny. Oh my god, she wore that. Oh my god, like that's all I did this weekend, I think.
Yeah, no, sometimes you need those weekends. It's fine. It's fine. I feel like I was running around everywhere this weekend. We celebrated Kristen's birthday, which was so much fun. We did an escape room, or I did an escape room for the first time.
I don't know if I could do one.
We got out with like 30 minutes to spare, so we actually did like really, really well. But like if it was just like me in a room, oh babe, I'm not getting out of there.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
Like who solved the most? Is it like riddles?
Yeah,
like,
some are
like
riddles,
clues?
some are numbers, and like you just have to figure out
hell
like,
no.
So it was fun though.
I think someone would have to pay me to go into an escape room.
Yeah. I was just basically the one counting the coins and putting them in the coin dispenser. I'm like, all right, this works.
You're like, all right, this is a cool job. Okay, well, and everyone, like, did everyone, like, pretty evenly, like, figure shit out?
Oh, no. It was probably,
like, do you have, like, a ringleader?
It was probably, like, Taryn and Kinley 100% doing the most work and me just, like, looking around. Like, oh, yeah.
No, that would be me. I'd be like, whoa, this is cool. Can I play with this?
Yeah.
Was it like a scary one or just like a normal, like...
No, it was like you were based in like Vegas and you're like in a casino and like basically trying to like open up the vault because there was some like something hiding in there that everyone was wanting to get. I don't know. It was fun.
But that's fun. Okay, no, that's like
Yeah,
a lot of
it was
fun.
fun.
I'm like, I hate to be like, oh, I would never. I just feel like I would panic.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like I would
I
get so
absolutely agree.
stressed out for no reason.
No, absolutely. That's
But
why I just
fun.
kind of was like, whatever. I'll take the lead, please. Let me know if you need me.
I'm dead. But that sounds fun. I just ate. I was like Martha Stewart this weekend, but I ate it all, which I'm regretting.
That cake looked so good.
Oh my god, it was so good. It's
Literally,
still
I love a cake like that. I love a cake like that.
Me too. I made a knockoff Whole Foods chantilly cake. It was so good. I still have some left, and I literally think that I'm just going to, like, after we finish recording, devour it.
Eat it all. Yep.
Except I'm so full. Like, I literally don't need to be eating anymore. I literally just keep
No, you're
stuffing my
fine.
face.
Well, the cake has to be like eaten, so just do
Yeah,
it.
you're so right.
And like
You're
the faster
so
you
right.
eat it, like then it'll just be gone, and you won't
Then
even have it to eat again.
then I won't have to eat it ever again until I make it
Exactly.
again. But okay, so I think that is all I had. All of our weekend updates. So I want to get into the nitty gritty of this episode. Like we said earlier in the podcast, you know, a lot of people have graduated, so you're now entering into your post-grad era, figuring out and navigating, you know, applying to jobs and just like navigating the real world without a schedule, without obviously like when you're in college, you know, you're not like reporting to your parents, but like you still almost have like that feel of like a safety net. And I feel like when you graduate college, even if it's not actually taken away, like obviously your parents are still there for you, or you know, you could be 100% on your own, but it does a lot of times I feel like that safety net is just kind of like ripped out from underneath your feet, and you're just kind of like, holy shit, like I have so many decisions to make. No one is telling me what to do. Like what do I do? And you can honestly just be like paralyzed with the amount of like decisions and responsibility that's like pretty much just like thrown on your lap.
Right.
And so I feel like we really want to kind of go over just like the things that we've learned, offer some advice, like some things we are still figuring out, but I feel like, you know, we've kind
absolutely.
we're absolutely still figuring some things out, but I feel like we've also kind of like learned a few things along the way that almost we wish that we were warned about, or like honestly just given unsolicited advice on.
Right.
And some of it like is going to be stuff that literally you would never think of until I feel like you reach a certain age and you're kind of like, holy shit, like why didn't I do this? Like this is so smart. Like why didn't I do this like at the beginning when I like kind of entered this journey? So I think we just need to dive right into it. And what is probably on the top of everyone's mind that just graduated college is applying to jobs and that job search, because it can be very difficult, very hard, very frustrating, can cause a lot of tears.
Absolutely. I remember those tears that were shed because I graduated with no job lined up.
Yeah, same. And I feel like nowadays that's kind of like what everyone, like the situation that everyone's in, because what I've run into a lot, or like what I've heard a lot from people that have just graduated college is, you know, they're going on all of these interviews and applying to all of these jobs. People will bring them in for an interview and basically just be like, listen, like, we can't hire you. You have no experience. Well, of course I have no experience. Like, I have been
just
in
graduated
college
Yeah.
trying to get my degree so that I could get a job. And now you're saying because I have this degree, like, you can't offer me a job because I have no job experience. But wait, I've literally just spent all my time trying to get this degree because everyone told me it would help me get a job. So that is probably like the number one thing that I feel like a lot of students, or, you know, people that had just graduated college run into. And the only advice that truly I feel like can be offered is you have to just keep applying, and you literally have to apply to anything and everything, and you will apply to like what feels like close to 1,000 jobs. You'll apply to so many jobs that you don't even remember what jobs you applied to.
Yeah.
And you truly just have to keep going through the motions, and it is a full-on roller coaster, so just be prepared for that. Obviously, you know, I feel like it's kind of a good balance. You apply and it can get really hard, so I feel like you have to have a good balance of like, okay, I'm not going to sit down and do this every single night. Like, give yourselves a few nights, like, go hang out with friends. Like, try to get your mind off of it because it can become very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then I feel like another really great tip when you're kind of going into an interview, especially when you don't really have that real world experience that you can rely on, the number one thing I feel like that in every job interview people are looking for is relatability. Basically, you being able to speak on a time and give an example. And I know that sounds really hard to do when you don't necessarily have that experience, but I feel like if you can think about anything that you've done in college, whether it be working with a group, whether it be in your sorority or doing any extracurricular activities, I feel like really, really, really reflect on that and try to relate it to the job that you're applying for.
Yeah. I feel like I couldn't agree more with that because I feel like that was something that like I kind of had in my back pocket at all times was, you know, like, oh, you know, when have you gone through a difficult time and how did you solve that problem?
Like,
I mean, if that's not the number one question that you get asked like straight out of college, I don't know what is. And like relating that back to like sorority life or holding a position or, you know, being in some kind of club in college, like definitely helps you along and like helps state like how you've dealt with some of that stuff and that you have been in those kind of positions because they're right, you don't have experience. And I feel like we're in a weird time right now. At least when we graduated as well, it was a very weird time. I mean, it was COVID when we freaking graduated, if it wasn't the peak of that, and just like people getting laid off, not many people getting hired. And it's like the issue is there's a lot of people applying for these like lower end jobs who are getting it because they have experience just because they need a job. Kind of thing. So I feel like that's what you run into a lot. But I feel like a good thing to relate it to is like something you did in college or like something that you've been through within the last 4 years to kind of give yourself that life experience.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, if you worked in college too, always heavily rely on that because I just feel like in interviews, what a lot of people look for in specifically like the questions that are asked in interviews is like, tell me about a time when. So like being able to have these different stories in your back pocket is 100% key, is always be able to give an example of like an actual time that you went through something and can relate it to the job that you're applying to. One thing that, especially if you're like really nervous about going into interviews and just like really wanting to feel prepared, the one thing that I really have been like, okay, ChatGPT is the perfect resource for this, is practicing interviews with ChatGPT. Plug in all of the information you can about the job and then have it generate interview questions for you and just really work on, obviously they won't be the exact questions that are going to be asked, but they most likely will be very similar. So being able to kind of have, you know, these ideas of answers in your back pocket that you can pull from is perfect. So like utilize ChatGPT. I feel like that's the perfect way to like really help, you know, you feel prepared for an interview.
Right, yeah. And that's basically because I know that's a huge thing is like, how do you prepare for an interview? How do you feel like confident when going into an interview? When you're, you know, fresh out of college, you might have not had like an interview like this ever or in years kind of thing, is like you said, rely heavily on ChatGPT and also TikTok. Just getting familiar with the questions asked, the answers that are given, like just seeing how people approach different questions will definitely help you out a lot. And I feel like that's something that like I always did, was I just like scrolled through TikTok because I mean, there are ample amounts of, you know, interview questions or how to handle an interview. And there's so many different ways to go about it, which I absolutely love because you can always get stuck in like being like I don't want to say being your own way, because like you should like be stuck in being like you and everything, but it's good to see like an outside perspective, because I know sometimes if you're like searching up all these questions and, you know, writing down answers and just trying to like memorize
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And like people are gonna know that it's just like memorized and that like, you know, you had this planned all along. So TikTok is a huge asset of like how to actually process the question, you know, think about it and like come back with like a calculated good reply. So that's what I've always used, and that has helped me out so freaking much.
Yeah.
But then also just like feeling prepared for your interview, you have to do your research on the company. And I feel like this is kind of where
a lot of people get
my
tripped
approach
up.
Right, but my approach is a little different. Is like, yes, I understand you should be applying, but sometimes I do think you need to pump the brakes and like actually know what you're applying for, and actually do your research on the back end, or actually find people through LinkedIn who are already in that position. And, you know, if that's messaging them on LinkedIn saying, hey, I'm applying for this job, I would love to chat a little bit more about it with you. I've done that all the freaking time, and they reply a lot more than you ever think they will. And like I've gotten on the phone with random people that I have no idea like who they are, but they're in the job position that I want. And we just like chat on the phone, and they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, this is who you're going to be interviewing with, you know, make sure to mention, you know, this one tidbit about the company, or make sure to do this, or make sure to do that. And I mean, that is your inside source
That is
to
100%
the company. And like, 100%. I think that's
100%.
really what you're needing right now, because like how badass does it look when you're going in to an interview and you're like, oh yeah, I've actually talked with X, Y, and Z who told me a little bit more about the job, and the hiring manager or the manager, whoever you're talking to, is going to be like, oh shit, like this person's serious, they're doing their research, you know, they're like networking and extending like the conversation elsewhere, and kind of not just like relying on other people and just relying like strictly on the interview. So I feel like that's something that kind of needs to be talked about a little more, because that's what LinkedIn is all about, is making connections, you know, networking. No, it's not fun. It's not
It's a scary place. It's a scary place.
It's not fun, literally whatsoever at all. But it can really help you get more familiar with the company, and it can also just like get you a better understanding of the job. And it's sometimes it's like, oh, never mind, I actually don't want that job whatsoever.
Well, and to like the people at the job too, because kind of going into that of like, oh wait, maybe not. Obviously, you know, as you're going into the job search, you know, you focus so much on like hearing back and like getting the job, but I also want people to put into the perspective of, you also need to make sure that the job's actually a good fit for you, and not necessarily taking the job because it was offered. And this is something I really want to talk about, because I have been in a position where I've taken a job not necessarily thinking about, you know, if it was going to be a good fit for me. Or, you know, okay, I'm taking a job, like, what am I, not that your job you're supposed to get stuff out of, but basically, is it a good fit? Because, like, am I getting benefits? Am I getting XYZ? And that is something that I feel like you also really do have to take into account. Obviously, again, you're not taking a job. You don't want to go into a job interview being like, well, what are the benefits? What can I get? Blah, blah, blah. That's right. You absolutely don't want to do. But once you get that job offer and you get the full-on offer of everything, benefits, pay, hours, PTO, like all of that, that is something that you really have to heavily consider and review before accepting a job, because that's also kind of like your livelihood, because you have to be able to mesh your lifestyle and your job kind of together. They do kind of go hand in hand, even if you are really good at separating your job versus, you know, kind of like your real life and having a really good work-life balance. Your job is still integrated into your life. Like, you still wake up every day and like you go there, and when you get your first job offer, it's really exciting and you immediately want to say yes, but you do have to take things into consideration and, like really think about, okay, ideally, you did your research even on like pay for a specific position, entry level even. And if, that job is really lowballing you and is not willing to negotiate, it's kind of something that you have to ask yourself, is that really a sacrifice that you are willing to take and you can make to be able to pay your rent, pay your bills? You have to also start thinking about health insurance. Granted, you can stay on your parents' health insurance until you're 26, but once you're 26, okay, does your job offer health insurance? Like,
and turning 26 is gonna come a lot faster than you think it's gonna come.
Yes, you're gonna think, oh my God, no, that's so many years away. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. It is literally creeping up by the second. And so, my one and when I say like take this from experience because you can end up kind of putting yourself in not the best situation by just taking the job because, I need it, I need the money, I need a salary, but then not really thinking about everything else and then kind of realizing, oh shit, this job was not for me. Like, this was a really bad decision. And you kind of have to live with that decision until you can, obviously find another solution. So that's one thing, because again, it's so easy to be like, yes, absolutely, I'll take the job. Like, my first offer, you've been on a million different interviews, obviously you put in all of this work researching companies and like, even finding companies and positions to apply for, that it's just very easy to be like, yes, or you get all the terms, you review them, like, because obviously you have to let a job know within a reasonable time, but still being like, well, I haven't gotten anything yet, like, I can just take it for, a year, 2 years, and then I can be out. But then you kind of fall into this cycle. So I feel like it's really important to also weigh not only like, are you a good fit for the job, but is the job a good fit for you?
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. And especially like you said, when you are straight out of college and you're knocking out these interviews, you're going through them, you're getting rejections out the ass. I mean, it's just rejection after rejection after rejection, which that is so normal. It is so 100%. Normal. And like, you need to know that you're going to get 10, 20, 30 times more rejections than you will ever. Even getting to a first round interview, you have to understand that these are all just generated things that if your resume or your cover letter doesn't say the right thing right off the bat, you're already out of the pool.
Automatically, like, it's literally sorted by a computer. Like,
yeah, like, you're already out of the pool. And like, that's a whole nother thing, is like, ChatGPT can really help you cater which way your resume needs to go based off, the job description, or based off, the requirements here that you have to have. And that's always a very good resource to use, because they will like pinpoint the keywords most of the time that they're looking for, and at least get you to that first round interview. Because like, you can only imagine how many people are applying to these entry level jobs come, May, June, July, and everyone's graduating, it's graduation season. You have to like be able to stick out in some shape, way, or form. But that's another thing, is you have to make sure it's the right job for you. But also, with that being said, you have to understand that like, you're not going to come out of college making $100K plus.
No,
you have to have your boundaries.
You have to be realistic, obviously. You 100%. You have to be realistic, and I'm not saying like turning down the job because you're not getting $70K right off the jump. Because, sweetheart, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Like, it's just not going to happen. But like, really making sure, okay, all of the people that I talk to, like, I'm going to have to see them every single day. Like, did I feel comfortable that, like, with them? Did, they obviously give off a great vibe. We've talked about company culture. Like, okay, I could see myself there. Or, like, I don't know, like, you will know if you're kind of hesitant on being like, like, they offered me a job, I just don't know if I should take it or not. then the
Right.
answer is probably you shouldn't, if like you're pretty hesitant off the jump, because again, trust me, been there, done that. And I was like, I don't know if I should take it, and then I took it, and then I realized very quickly, I was like, yeah, I was hesitant for a reason, and then here we are.
Your gut will always direct you in the right direction, no matter if you think it is or you think it isn't. There's just a lot of things to think about, and there's a lot of things to contemplate. And like Maddie has already said, especially with health insurance, benefits, 401k,
that's stuff you
stock plans,
have to think about.
Right.
And you've never had to think about it before, but it's definitely something you absolutely do have to take into consideration. Obviously, you're not taking a job for the benefits, but again, this is kind of your livelihood.
Right.
Having a job integrates into your life in general. Like even if, like I mentioned earlier, even if you really separate the two, it is still a part of your life, and it is still a part of like who you are, what you need, and benefits are offered for a reason. And I think that they're very important. Take it from someone. Take it from me, trust me.
I mean, you just have to think about the necessities. And like, there are some people who their parents are like, the second you get a corporate job, you're off the insurance, you're on your own. So like, it's not always just waiting till like the age of 26 when you get kicked off insurance. But that's something even myself that I'm still trying to understand of anything and everything is, benefits wise, or like how much you should be putting in your 401k. Like when your company's contributed as well, you need to be like maxing out, if they can contribute 6%, then you at least need to be putting in 6%, if not more, to be able to receive that like max out budget. And like, I know at our age, I feel like to a lot of us, it's like, why am I putting money in my 401k right now? Like, retirement is so far away, but it's like, if you don't start now, each year you're just falling behind more and more and more.
behind. Yes.
And it's like, you have to realize, and like, yes, you want that money in your pocket, but you have to realize
you have to set yourself up for the future.
Right. And we're very like, our generation is very like instant gratification. We don't
Here
like
and now
to set things aside, or we don't like to think about the future, or we think like we'll figure it out then. That's just not the way the world works most of the time. It really isn't. So yes, you need to start thinking about that now, and you need to start doing that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then also something that I'm just realizing at the age of 26 is like how stocks work and everything. And this is more like corporate world.
0%, understanding.
It's a lot to understand, but like at Fortinet, like when you come on, like you're given a certain amount in Fortinet stocks and stuff like that. So that's just very important to understand, like what you're receiving and what you're getting. Because like when I joined that company, I had no idea, like, I was even, like, getting that. I had no idea that was written in my contract. So that's just, like, other things to keep an eye out for with stuff like that. But like I said, that's more, like, corporate world related if you are going in that direction. So these are definitely just, like, necessities that, yes, you need to be thinking about now. And if your job offers it, you need to be opting in.
Yeah, you have to take full advantage of, honestly, like everything that you can get, and really utilize it, because it is a luxury, and it's obviously something that the company is offering to you, to their employee, for working at said company. And so like I keep saying, you can't go into an interview based on like, oh, I know that they offer XYZ benefits, like that's why I want the job, because I'm telling you, they can sniff that out a mile away. And if they think that you're really just applying for benefits, or for like, they're gonna be like, yeah, this is not the candidate for us. But kind of once you get to that point in the interview, or that point into like the job offer, it's really take everything into consideration, because it is important.
Right. And I think my biggest point of advice for anyone graduating college is like, you have to start at a starting point, which I don't care. I'll be open and transparent. The first job I took was in the fashion industry, and I was making $38,000 a year. And everyone's like, oh my God, like there's no way that's livable. It is, is it hard? Is it difficult? 100%. Were there times like I didn't think I was going to make ends meet? Of course. And like I had the blessing of like, if there ever was a time I was like struggling, like I couldn't pay my full rent, like I had my parents to help me out. And I understand that not everyone has that.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that it is going to be a work in process. Even till now, I'm 26 years old. I've been in the work industry, 5 years, and like I'm still figuring things out. But just know each year you're going to grow better and better and better. And like, who knows if you're going to be with a company that you're starting with now in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years. And like, I just wouldn't put too much pressure on yourself of like making the big bucks or setting like a certain dollar amount where you want to live like a comfy, luxurious life, because that's just not the way it is.
It's not realistic at all. Like, obviously as you grow your career, that's when everything else grows. So, you do have to be very realistic when you go into, which I feel like a lot of people do have a good sense of like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to work my ass off.
Right.
And make, barely any money. But, the longer that you keep working, obviously, the more experience you get in either a specific field, or, you can start working in one area, in one industry, and be like, okay, wow, this is not at all what I envisioned and pictured. Actually, I think I'm going to like X over here. Okay, we're going to do a whole career pivot, a whole career change, and that's okay. Millions of people do that. Millions of people do that.
I preach to everyone that it's just like, because I feel like a lot of people have come to me when they're wanting to make a completely different pivot. I mean, I was in fashion and now I'm like in technology, cybersecurity, a complete 180. I mean, I never went to school for this. I never thought I would be doing this. And like, that is okay. And that's a decision you make on your own of like, when you picked your degree when you were 18, 19 years old, you had no idea what you wanted to do for the rest of your life. Like, of course, you're going to pick what sounds fun and what you're interested in at the time. But as the years go by, you realize that, at least to me, I now view jobs a lot different than I did, like, coming out of college. Like, I thought I was going to have to be, like, in love with my job, pour every ounce, of my heart and soul into this job. And I just don't see it that way anymore ever since moving over to tech. Of course I like my job. Of course, like, I think you just need to like your job, not love your job.
I think that and honestly, I literally think that no one ever graduates in something, well, it's very, very, very few that actually graduate and go into what their degree is. The most common, you'll see that happening in doctor, freaking some sort of scientist type deal. Right. Either criminal, whatever.
Justice.
Criminals. I almost said criminal studies. You know what I mean. Obviously there are some people that like, okay, accounting. A lot of people that graduate in like accounting or business really do utilize their degree in some aspect. But I'm telling you, majority of the people, when they graduate, whatever it says on their piece of paper, I bet you $1 million, that is not what they're doing in their career. 100% true for me, 100% true for Kassidy. She started out in what she graduated in, realized, okay, yeah, actually this industry is something that I'm passionate about, but I need to separate my career and my job from what my passions are, and she did that. And I think that the most important thing is no one loves their job. I'm sorry, it's very few people love their job. Sure, if you work for Vogue, you probably hate your life, but you probably freaking love your job. Okay, if you were, or any cool job like that. You have to like your job to be able to wake up every day, either make a commute, work crazy hours, XYZ, to actually feel good and successful in your job. If your job makes you hate life, makes you wake up and be like, I can't do this, it's probably time to start looking elsewhere. You could love what you do, but you can literally hate your job, and it will happen most likely at some point in your life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my first job, I was coming home crying every day.
Yeah.
Saying how much I hated this. I wasn't making good money. I hated it. I couldn't afford anything. Like, it was just on top of everything. And that's where the shift happens of, like, I can't do this
You
anymore.
can love and like your job and still make nothing, and that's okay. If you truly do love your job, if you love your job, it doesn't matter what you make. But if you're hating your job, like if you are just hating life because of your job, it's time to make a change. And it can be very difficult, but I don't think that you should hate your job. I feel like you can like your job, or you can feel like meh about your job. Not really have any strong feelings, hate or dislike or like. You know, you can be very much in the middle and still be like, you know what? I don't really have any crazy feelings towards it. I get up, I do my work, and then I have my life outside of it, and that's okay. But if you wake up and you just absolutely hate your job, it's time for a change.
Yeah, and I think that just needs to be talked about more often is, like, I feel like we get caught in this, like, oh, I either love my job or I hate my job, but there's, like, a huge point in
you can be in the middle.
Like, right. I like my job. I can get up. I can do X, Y, and Z. I get along with my coworkers. But, like, is this why I wake up every morning? No, of course not.
Yeah.
But I've come to the realization that, like, I don't think I will ever love an 8 to 5 kind of thing. As long as I'm happy and content and this job is paying for the life that I like. If that's going shopping, if that's going out to happy hours, if that's, you know, getting a new car, whatever it may be for you, I think that's okay. And I think that needs to be more normalized of, like, yeah, this is my 9 to 5. This is what I do, but, like, that's not who I am as a person. I work this job in this industry so I can pay for the life that I want to live on the side. And I think that I saw a TikTok that basically said that exact same thing. It's like, I don't love my job. I like my job, and it provides me, like, this amazing life that I get to live, and, like, I'm okay with that. And, like, I'm totally okay with putting up with X, Y, and Z because it pays, you know, good and can get you everything you've been wanting or needing. So I think that was something that hit me really hard is, like, I always felt like I had to be in love with my job. And if I wasn't in love with my job, I felt like I was the issue or I was the problem, or, like, I just felt like I would never be happy at a job, honestly, because it's like you can go through different jobs and different positions, and you always think the grass is greener on the other side, and it's not always that way until you, like, change your outlook on a job. And it's like, I'm doing this job to afford what I can afford, and you know what, I love that. And that's the only reason I'm doing this. And, like, I can put up with this job and I can get my stuff done so I can live the life I want to live. So I think that everyone needs to look at a job in that perspective when you feel like you're burnt out, or when you feel like you need a new job, or, like, that it's just, like, not serving you because you feel like you should love your job. That's just not always the case.
Yeah, no.
Whatsoever.
But again, then too, you'll know, trust me, you'll know when it's time to leave your job.
Yeah.
You'll know.
Sure.
Because sometimes you can be like, okay, am I being dramatic? Like, is it really, like, am I just being too dramatic? Am I just being almost, like, lazy? Trust me, you'll know when it's like, okay, no, like, you gotta leave. But then you'll also know
consuming your life and, like, going on to other things of, like, making you unhappy in your life. You'll know.
Yeah. But then also, you know, I feel like, see, I kind of came into, like, post-grad being like, honestly, I just want to work, and my work will not be my passion. 100%. Right. It won't. What I want to do outside of work is my passion. So I feel like, just really going in with, like, a mindset of, like, we just live in a world where you have to work. You have to work. You have to make a living to be able to live, to be able to survive in today's world. And so, you know, just really finding something that, like, you don't mind. You can wake up. You enjoy your day to day. You might not love it all the time. You might not hate it all the time, but, like, you're good. Like, it gives you fulfillment not in like the way of like, oh my God, this is my passion. This is what I've always wanted to do for my entire like life. No, gives you fulfillment of like, okay, no, I got a good day of work done. Now I can go focus on my, 5 to 9 after work, doing the things that I like, pursuing the things I like, doing nothing, or hanging out with your friends, or doing whatever. I feel like, you just do kind of have to come to terms with you have to work for a living. So you might as well find something that like you enjoy, but you might not love it, and just being okay with that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's something that I literally just learned this year, which has been a great thing. An absolute great thing to learn in between all of that.
I am dead. Okay, I kind of want to move on from, like the job aspect and go into a few other tips that I feel like I've learned. And I feel like just need to be public knowledge and or talked about. Because I really wish, at least really one of these things I would have known beforehand. Because I feel like it could have really come in handy by now.
Yeah.
So, one thing is credit cards. Okay. Credit cards, very, very scary subject to talk about, okay? I don't like to use the word credit card, honestly, at all. To me, that is a bad word. That's a curse word. We hate it, okay? Love, hate, not even love, just hate relationship with credit cards. But a credit card is honestly essential in today's world. You have to have credit. You have to have credit to buy cars. You have to have credit to buy a house. You have to have credit to rent a house. Sometimes you even have to have credit to get internet, okay? So credit is important. If you don't have a credit card now, it's about time you get one, okay? Credit cards are honestly crucial to have. They're very scary, but they're crucial to today's world. And one thing that I really want you to think about, whether you have a credit card or whether you don't have a credit card, is look into the credit cards before you actually apply and get one. I think that obviously there are certain credit cards you can't just walk in and be like, I would like that one, please. Like, I'm sorry, you're not getting no black card. That's not going to happen. Especially coming out, like, no, you're not going to get a black card. Sorry, you're not going to get an American Express. You're just not. But I think it's really important to look into the credit cards that you're applying for. And again, you can kind of take it from me. So when I went to college, my parents are like, hey, you need a credit card? We're just going to go get one through your bank and, we'll be good to go. We can start building your credit. And so we did that, and it has been the credit card that I have had. Well, this said credit card doesn't necessarily give me all of the benefits that I could reap, okay? And now, looking back, which I could go ahead and get this now, but again, credit cards to me are just scary, okay? I really don't like to poke and prod at them because I'm scared that they're going to bite back. But one thing I feel like that's really important is, okay, hey, if you travel a lot, you might as well either get a Southwest credit card or the American, Advantage something credit card with American Airlines, because you can reap the benefits. You can get the points and you can get flights. Obviously, after a lot of spends and a lot of, payment on your credit card, you will eventually have enough points to buy flights. You are reaping what you're sowing, basically.
Right.
And I think that is something super important to think about, and something that I really wish I would have thought about or had a conversation with my parents about before I actually got my credit card, because mine that I use and I've had for almost 10 years now, I don't really reap the benefits. The card that I have, I don't really get that many points benefits to it. So I think that it's something that's really important, especially as you're entering your adult era, because you're probably going to be using your credit card a lot more in adulthood than you probably have in college. And so I think it's really important to, again, just kind of look into what you're signing up for, which I know this experience isn't necessarily not everyone has been through it, but it's something that I have learned within the last, honestly, few months, and I think that it's an important topic to talk about.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's always good that Maddie and I are polar opposites. I mean, I have only had a credit card for like 3 years, maybe. I didn't have one in college whatsoever. Even when I got out of college, I didn't have one. I don't know. Credit cards they also scare me because it's so easy to slip into the swipe. Oh, you want something and it's not in your bank account. Or, hey, I'm just going to use my credit card as my debit and I'm just going to pay it off. But then you always end up spending more and you don't have the money to pay off. I think credit cards are a very slippery slope. To an extent, yes, I think you do need one to help build your credit.
I mean,
I do agree.
You have to. Now I feel like nowadays you have to have credit for literally everything.
Yes, to an extent. But, like, even when I got my first apartment, like, I didn't, but my parents had to, like, co-sign for me. So, like, there are ways around it.
Co-signs.
Yeah. So, like, there are ways around it, like, if you don't have it and, like, if you have someone that, like, can co-sign for you, there's definitely ways around everything. I haven't gotten to the point where I can, like, use a credit card, like, comfortably to me because, like, mentally I need to see, like, my number going down.
But I don't think it even, it has to be like a comfort thing, or like, you know, obviously you should, I think that going into like getting a credit card, you should really know, but I think it's always great to have in an emergency. And I just feel like in adult life, you have to have one. To me, like, that's how I was raised. It teaches you a lot of responsibility. You can mess up. A lot of people, I've messed up with credit cards 100%, but I feel like it's always a great lesson to learn, something that even, you know, if you don't necessarily learn it, I think it's always important to be aware of it, because eventually when you grow up, you're going to have kids. Your kids are going to have credit cards. You're going to have to teach them about it. So I think that specifically to those that don't necessarily have one, I think it's like to me, it's like, I think it's critical and like it's crucial to have as you enter into your adult life, because it teaches a hell of a lot of responsibility. And again, it's good to be in a position where you have credit, where you can apply for things, because once you get to a certain age, they do stop, or they basically, like, some places won't let you have like a cosigner, or you just basically have to be able to prove like, hey, yeah, I'm trustworthy. Like, I know with the place that I live in now, like, I had to be able to show my like credit score and all of that. So I just think it's like really important to have it, again, kind of like in your back pocket, and it really does kind of help you establish like this sense of like independence too.
Yeah, right. And I agree. And I mean, I think they're great for emergencies, like if you ever need to have something on hand, and you know, come payday, my debit card gets very freaking low. So yes, it's always good to have them for emergencies and stuff like that, and building your credit. Just know how to use it and use it wisely. And like you said, like there have been a lot of people who have messed up. There have been times where, like, you know, I put more than I thought on my credit card because, like, I just wasn't keeping track of it. So yes, I mean, it is definitely a great teaching point of self-control, and, you know, using it in the right way, and like you said, reaping the benefits of your credit card. I have the American Airlines ones, which my thing is, like, I don't ever really like spend enough to reap the benefits most of the time. Like, I think I've gotten like one free flight out of it out of the 3 years I've had it. But I mean, it's definitely nice to have. 110%, it's nice to have when you do have those points, and, you know, you get, you know, early access to this, early access to that. It's just like, depending on what your lifestyle is, where you spend your money, there are definitely different credit cards to look into. So you're getting some kind of benefit or some kind of points in a way.
100%. But yeah, to me, I just think that's always like an important thing to like look into and get educated about. So that was some advice that I just thought was perfect. Okay, lastly, I don't even know if we actually have enough time to talk about it, so maybe we can turn this into a next week episode, but friendships post college, I feel like we can dive probably heavy into that, and even saving and spending. I know we kind of like dipped our toes into that, especially with talking about credit cards, so I think maybe this might have to be a tips and tricks to surviving post-grad part 2. So not to keep you guys on your toes, but I think we're gonna keep you guys on your toes.
Yeah, no, we can talk about a lot of that next week as well. I think savings and spending, just knowing how to budget and where to put your money. If you have extra money, is a savings account, really worth it in today's world? Because everyone is just, exploring and going on trips. And, sometimes that is, more enticing to someone else rather than just like putting your money away for a rainy day kind of thing. So we can get into all of that next week, because I think we all have very different viewpoints generation to generation on saving as well as spending.
Yeah. Period. So we hope that you enjoyed today's episode and that you learned just a little bit and feel prepared to tackle the real world after graduation, or even if you've been out of college for a while like us, and obviously the adjustment is very difficult. So we hope that you could take away some things that you might not have necessarily had to face yet in your journey navigating adulthood. So thank you guys so much for listening. We love you so very much, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.